Hello friends, I'm Rajdeepak Singh, and as I've told you, this is my new YouTube channel. And in this particular video, I'm going to tell you regarding the reserve categories in the IBPS RRB Office Assistant multipurpose. Okay, so I have seen a lot of queries regarding this reserve list. They actually say, sir, how this reserve list actually works. And what are the chances whether they are going to be selected or not. The validity, as you all know, is of the validity of the reserve list is of 1 year. So whether we are going to select or not, so these type of questions they are going to raise. So what I have analyzed, and according to me, what I have taken the information from the websites and other sources. Basically, reserve list means that uh, uh, if you have total of 500 vacancies, then in different organization there is a percentage that on that basis they are going to take the number of candidates. If suppose there is a 500 vacancy of a particular state, of a particular bank, so only 10% are going to be uh, named as in reserve list. So out of 500, only 50 students are going to be in the reserve list. Now how it works, so before knowing how it works, I just want to tell you that reserve list is basically is not that particular sense that it is going to be cleared. It means that you are not 100% sure that if you are in reserve list, then whether you are going to be selected or not. Okay, so first thing I just want to tell you that reserve list is not being monitored by IBPS. Again, I'm repeating, it is not monitored by IBPS. It is monitored by the concerned banks. Okay, let's suppose you have your name in the uh, reserve list of Uttar Pradesh. So there are three Grameen banks of Uttar Pradesh. The first one is Aryavrat, the second one is like Prathama Grameen Bank, and the third one is your this Baroda UP Grameen Bank for this year 2021. So the clearance of the reserve list is totally depend upon the sponsored bank, like these three banks. It is not directly connected to the IBPS. Yes, I know there are also there are also a lot many candidates in IBPS PU reserve list, or like IBPS RRB PU reserve list, and in like SBI clerk reserve list. So the same technique is going to be followed in these all three which I have named. Okay, so in this video I'm very specific to the RRB office assistant, because what I have taken from the source is that there are a lot many candidates whose name is considered in the reserve list. Okay, so how it works, so let's suppose you have in the state of like Uttar Pradesh, let's suppose you have 150 students who are in reserve category. Okay, so and let's suppose you have 75 vacancies for which is vacant after the document verification of those provisionally allotted candidates. Okay, now the one who is higher in the cutoff of reserve list is going to be given the priority for those reserve list. So let's suppose you have 150 reserve list. Out of those 75 vacancies, the first 75 students are going to be called for the document verification. And if they did not find the student fit in the document verification, then they call more candidates, and they reject those candidates who are unable to submit their documents. Okay, so this is the first criteria. The second criteria is like, let's suppose you have like 150 candidates who are in the reserve list. Okay, and your total vacant vacancy after the document verification of provisionally allotted candidates is 200. It means your 150 is in reserve list, 200 is the vacant, 200 is the vacant vacancy. Okay, so now what happened in this criteria is like all 150 candidates who are in reserve list are going to be cleared. Okay, so we have 200 vacancies, 150 are in reserve list, we have 50 vacancy left. Now what is going to be called to these 50 vacancies? These 50 vacancy is called as a backlog vacancies, which are going to be added to the next recruitment. This is the second criteria I've told you. The third criteria in the reserve list. Okay, the third criteria basically is, let's suppose you have like 200 vacancies again in a particular state, and you have like you have like 150 you have like again you have again 150 candidates who are in reserve list. Now third criteria what says is that it is totally depend on the bank that how many candidates they are going to be called for. Let's suppose they have like 200 vacancies vacant and 150 students are in reserve list, and they required only 50 students in the from the reserve list. So what actually they do, they only declared 50 vacancy for that particular reserve list for the document verification. Okay, so in this scenario you are not going to be the one who left after those 50 students are not going to be called for the document verification or for the further process. So it is like uncertainty in the reserve list. You can't be assured yourself that okay, you are in reserve list, so you have a chances of getting selected. Again I am saying it is totally depend upon the concerned bank of that particular organization. Okay, and the last part I just want to add to this reserve list category is that you have a one power, which I have found like from the information of like Twitter. I have gone through Twitter also, I have gone through like other YouTube channels. What I found that you have one power where you can save your one seat if you are in reserve list, if there is a declare of, if you know that there are going to be a lot more vacancies and you are finding that your name is going to become. What you can do, you have one single power which you can use. In 2007, 14th June 2007, like UPA government has done RTI, Right to Information Act. From this RTI, what you can do is that after the allotment of those successful candidates who got allotted, after the 2 months or like 2.5 months, you filed an RTI and asked the concerned bank and ask the concerned organization about the number of vacancies which is going to be vacant after the allotment of those selected candidates or provisionally allotted candidates. What it does is you are going to get actual information how many vacancies have been vacant, how many and based on that the concerned bank how many vacancies they have given. Like you actual know the scenario, मतलब आपको actual पता चल जाएगा कि बैंक कर क्या रहा है. बैंक वो वैकेंसीज जो 2020 की वैकेंसीज थी, whether they are allotting or they are not allotting. If they are not allotting, they are actually doing the wrong thing to the candidates. It means that you are declaring in 2020 that this 2000 vacancies for year 2020, and you are not actually fulfilling those 2000 vacancies. Out of those 2000, if you whatever amount you are considering those vacancies as a backlog vacancies and adding those vacancies in the next recruitment, it is like a deceit to those students who are preparing for the government exam. So that is the reason why I am saying that you have to file an RTI, so that you actually knows the scenario that how many vacant seats are how many vacancies does a concerned bank have right now after the allotment of those selected candidates. By doing this, you are actually like doing the right thing, doing the right thing for yourself also, or for those who are in the reserve list, so that no so that none of the vacancies they are going to be suggest as a like in the backlog vacancies, so that they can fill in the next vacancy. Remember this, I am saying again and again this, that you can file an RTI and you have the right to know that how many vacancies are vacant, what they are doing with those vacancies, whether they are fulfilling those vacancies or not, whether they have add these vacancies to the next recruitment, what actually they are doing, whether they are like whether they are counterfeiting to the aspirants who are preparing for the banking exam. So this is all regarding the reserve list. And I just want to say last message of mine to those who are in reserve list: don't look for this, just prepare for the next exam, you will be cleared. But yes, if you are in reserve list, then try to have an RTI file after 2.5 months, so that you actually knows what is the scenario, right? So this is it. This is regarding the IBPS RRB office assistant multi-purpose reserve list 2021. Okay, so I'm going to come with more updates on the banking exams, so stay tuned with the channel. Again, I've told you in the earlier videos, this is my new channel, so please subscribe so that this content is being reached to the maximum people. Okay, thank you.